Chosen ones. Pisces, you won. Heaven is sending your lifetime partner, Pisces. If this message has found, you do not brush it aside too quickly, because some moments do not arrive with noise. They arrive with a strange stillness, like heaven leaning close, like the universe pausing just long enough for your soul to hear what your wounded heart has almost forgotten. There is a reason you felt pulled here tonight. There is a reason your spirit did not scroll past. Something in you recognized this before your mind could explain it, and that alone should tell you that this is not just another video, not just another passing message, but a gentle summons for the one who has cried in silence, loved in secret, waited in faith, and wondered whether the love written for them was ever truly coming. Pisces, you have carried a kind of love that many people speak about, but very few understand. You have loved with tenderness, with mercy, with a depth that made you believe that if you stayed soft enough, patient enough, prayerful enough, someday the right soul would finally find you. And yet there were nights when your kindness was misunderstood, your loyalty was stretched thin, and your hope felt like a candle burning in a storm. You smiled for people while breaking inside. You gave people oceans and watched them return only echoes. Still, some hidden part of you kept believing that God does not plant longing without purpose, and that karma does not awaken the heart without also preparing a lesson, a release, and eventually a blessing. So hear me clearly. Pisces, this message is not here to make you worship the stars, nor to surrender your destiny to timing charts and passing signs. No, the stars are only symbols, shadows on the wall, reminders that creation moves in patterns, while the final word over your life belongs to God, belongs to grace, belongs to the sacred law that what is meant in truth will not miss the soul that has been prepared to receive it. And maybe that is why your spirit feels different now. Maybe that is why what once attracted you no longer satisfies you. Maybe that is why your heart has become quieter, wiser, less willing to chase confusion and call it love. This is not emptiness. This is preparation. This is not punishment. This is purification. In the language of faith, this is the season where heaven removes what distracted you from peace. In the language of Buddhist truth, this is the moment when attachment loosens its grip so that the soul can finally breathe without clinging to what was never truly aligned. Pisces, the love coming toward you will not arrive as chaos pretending to be passion. It will not demand that you abandon your peace to prove your devotion. It will not confuse your spirit and call that chemistry. The person meant for your life will feel different, because by the time they arrive, you will be different. That is the real victory. Not simply that someone is coming, but that you are no longer the version of yourself that would have mistaken pain for destiny. You are beginning to discern. You are beginning to see. You are beginning to understand that what is holy does not drag your soul into constant fear. What is holy brings light, clarity, and the kind of peace that feels both unfamiliar and deeply remembered, as if your heart has known it before birth. This is your invitation to stay awake, stay prayerful, stay soft, and stay spiritually guarded. So, if you are here, stay with me until the end, because this message may reveal why the waiting was not wasted, why the closed doors were not cruelty, and why the tears you thought were signs of loss may have actually been part of your rescue. And if something in your spirit is already stirring, then do not remain silent. Type Y, receive what is right for me, because every word you speak in faith is a seed planted into your future. Like this video as a sign that you are choosing peace over confusion. Subscribe if you are ready to protect your next chapter and keep your spirit aligned with messages that strengthen, not weaken your soul. And share this with the one who has almost given up on love, because sometimes the fastest way to unlock blessing is to become a messenger of hope. Pisces. This is only the beginning, but I need you to listen with more than emotion now. Listen with discernment. Listen with faith. Listen as if heaven has finally decided that after all the breaking, all the waiting, all the hidden healing, your heart is being prepared not merely to desire love, but to recognize the one that was sent in truth. Pisces. What is happening in your life right now is not random, and it is not proof that you have been forgotten. It only feels confusing because your soul is standing in a doorway. Your emotions have not fully understood yet. You may have noticed it already, the strange distance between who you used to be and who you are. Becoming, the quiet loss of interest in shallow connections, the exhaustion you feel around people who once pulled all of your attention, the sudden desire to protect your peace instead of explaining your pain. This is not you becoming cold. This is you becoming clear. This is what it feels like when heaven begins separating you from what can no longer walk with you into your next season, and when the deeper law of the Spirit begins loosening attachments that once felt impossible to release. Pisces, there are seasons when the heart mistakes delay for rejection, silence for abandonment, and endings for failure. But that is only because the human mind wants immediate answers, while the soul is being trained in trust. In the Christian heart, this is the hour when God teaches you not to build your identity around who stayed, who left, or who finally noticed your worth, but around the truth that what is ordained by grace cannot be stolen by delay. In the Buddhist heart, this is the sacred lesson of non-attachment. The moment when suffering begins to reveal where clinging has kept you bound, where illusion has dressed itself as devotion, and where longing has slowly become a chain around your own inner freedom. Pisces, you have not simply been waiting for love. You have been undergoing a purification of desire. That is why some names no longer carry the same power. That is why certain memories return not to tempt you backward, but to show you how much you have outgrown. That is why your spirit feels uneasy whenever you try to force what no longer feels aligned. The cosmos may describe this as a season of heightened sensitivity, of inner tides, shifting of invisible patterns rising to the surface so they can be seen. But faith gives the deeper interpretation. God is not stirring your spirit to torment you. He is stirring your spirit so you will stop calling confusion a sign and start recognizing peace as the real confirmation. And karma is not revisiting your old wounds to punish you. It is exposing the cycle so you no longer have to repeat it. This is why you feel more discerning now. You are beginning to notice who drains you, who flatters you without honoring you, who wants access to your tenderness, but refuses responsibility for your trust. You are beginning to sense that not everyone who enters your emotional space is assigned to remain there. Some came to awaken you. Some came to test your boundaries. Some came only to show you the cost of abandoning yourself. Do not fear this awareness. It is a gift. It is the return of spiritual eyesight. Pisces, maybe. What is happening right now is that your heart is being retrained to desire what is healthy, not merely what is intense. Maybe you are being prepared to receive love without panic affection, without uncertainty, commitment, without emotional games. Maybe your spirit is finally learning that what is blessed does not need constant chasing. Because Pisces, when your standards rise in the spirit, your future changes in the natural. The relationships you entertain shape the energy you carry. The choices you make shape the doors that open, and the peace you protect becomes the ground where abundance can finally grow. There is a connection between emotional clarity and material blessing, between spiritual obedience and the protection of your next chapter. When you stop pouring your life into what wounds you, you recover time, focus, creativity, and strength. That is how healing also becomes wealth. That is how discernment protects not only your heart, but your destiny, your purpose, and the resources heaven intends to place in your hands. So do not apologize for becoming more careful. You are not losing love. You are learning how to guard the future you prayed for. And what God protects deception cannot permanently delay or destroy. So stay with this message, because the next part may reveal the truth your heart has been trying to decode for months. And if this already feels like your season of awakening, then comment, "I choose peace that multiplies my future, because spoken faith carries power." Like this video to seal your agreement with clarity. Subscribe to keep your path guarded and your discernment sharp, and share this with someone whose soul is learning to release what cannot go where heaven is taking them next. Pisces, here is the truth at the center of everything you have lived through, and I need you to hear it. Not only with your emotions, but with the deepest part of your spirit you did not win. Because someone is finally coming. You won because you are no longer the same soul that once confused longing with destiny, pain with devotion, and emotional hunger with holy love. That is the revelation. That is the hidden turning point. For so long, you may have believed that victory would look like being chosen, being pursued, being adored in the way your heart always dreamed of. You may have thought the breakthrough would arrive the day someone finally saw your worth and stayed. But heaven has been teaching you something far greater than romance. Heaven has been teaching you discernment. God has been reshaping the inner life of Pisces so that when true love appears, you will not bow before it like an idol, and when false love approaches, you will not call it a miracle just because it knows how to touch your loneliness. This is why your journey had to include silence. This is why certain doors closed without explanation. This is why some connections stirred your soul, but never settled your spirit. In Christian language, God was never trying to shame your desire for love. He was purifying it so that love would become a blessing under His order, not a substitute for His presence. In Buddhist truth, your suffering was not meaningless. It was revealing the places where attachment disguised itself as fate, where craving wore the mask of loyalty, and where your compassion kept you bound to what was never truly yours to carry. Pisces, the central truth is this: your lifetime partner is not the prize at the end of your pain. Your transformation is the real miracle, is that after everything you have survived, your heart is becoming wise without becoming bitter, tender without becoming naive, open without becoming unguarded. That is rare. That is sacred. That is the kind of spiritual maturity that changes what you attract, what you tolerate, and what you are finally ready to receive. The old version of you might have chased intensity because it felt like destiny. The healed version of you can now recognize that what is truly meant for you will not require the destruction of your peace. The old version of you might have called inconsistency, mysterious distance, intriguing, emotional instability, passionate. But the soul that has been refined by prayer, by surrender, by tears, by karma, lessons, and by the mercy of God no longer feeds on confusion. Now you are beginning to understand that holy love has weight, calm, and truth in it. It does not merely excite your heart, it steadies your life. It does not merely promise forever, it carries the character to protect what it touches. Pisces, you won the moment you stopped begging life to send you anyone and started asking heaven to send only what is aligned. You won the moment you decided that peace was no longer negotiable. You won the moment you realized that being alone for a sacred season was safer than bonding with what could sabotage your future. Because make no mistake, the wrong love does not only break hearts, it scatters focus, delays calling, drains energy, and can even block the flow of abundance assigned to your next chapter. But when your soul returns to alignment, your future begins to breathe again. Your discernment protects your heart, your time, your purpose, your prosperity, and the doors that were meant to open in the right season. This is why I say, you already won. Not because the story is over, but because the deepest battle has already shifted inside you. You are no longer available for counterfeit love. You are no longer hypnotized by what glitters, but does not nourish. You are no longer willing to lose yourself just to keep someone else. That is a victory many never reach. So if this truth is landing in your spirit, do not stay silent. Comment. I choose what is holy and aligned, and let that declaration become a shield over your future. Like this video if you are ready to protect your peace as fiercely as you once protected the wrong people. Subscribe if you want your path, your prosperity, and your heart guarded by truth in the season ahead. And share this with the Pisces soul, or the chosen one, in hiding, who needs to hear that the greatest love story begins the moment you stop betraying yourself to be loved. Because what heaven sends next will not meet the broken version of you. It will meet the awakened one at last, in peace. Now. Pisces, before you go any further, I want you to slow down and feel this moment with your whole being. Because this is not just the part of the message where you listen, this is the part where you respond. This is the threshold where emotion becomes intention, where longing becomes alignment, where faith stops being a private ache and becomes a spoken agreement with heaven. And if you have stayed with me this far, then something inside you is already saying yes. Not yes to fantasy, not yes to illusion, not yes to another cycle of chasing what wounds you, but yes to peace, yes to truth, yes to the love that does not ask you to disappear in order to be chosen. Pisces, this is your sacred pause. In Christian faith, there are moments when the heart must stop striving and simply stand before God with open hands, trusting that what He has written cannot be erased by delayed disappointment or the mistakes of the past. In Buddhist wisdom, there are moments when the soul must breathe, release, grasping, and return to stillness, because what is meant in clarity can only be received by a mind that is no longer enslaved to fear. So right now, I want you to take one deep breath, then another. Let your shoulders soften. Let your chest unclench. Let the noise of old stories begin to fall away. This is how you make room. This is how you tell the universe, your spirit, and the God who sees you that you are no longer in agreement with confusion. Pisces, place your hand over your heart if you can, and silently remember one pain you survived. One person you released one night, you cried, and still woke up the next morning, carrying hope you did not even know you had. That survival is holy. That endurance is evidence. You are still here, which means your story has not been denied, only prepared. And now I want you to say, either out loud or in the quiet of your spirit, This declaration, I no longer chase what confuses my soul. I receive what heaven has prepared for me. Say it again slowly, until it begins to sound like truth inside your body. I no longer chase what confuses my soul. I receive what heaven has prepared for me. Pisces words carry direction. What you repeat in fear can open doors to more fear, but what you declare in faith can become a shield over your future. This is why I need you to do more than listen. I need you to participate. If this message speaks to where you are, comment right now, I receive what is right for me. Let that be your signal to heaven. Let that be your line in the sand. Let that be the moment you stop negotiating with what drains you and start aligning with what protects your next chapter. And as you type those words, do not type them weakly. Type them as someone calling blessing back into their life, as someone reclaiming emotional peace, spiritual clarity, relational protection, and the wealth of a future. No longer wasted on the wrong doors. Yes, Pisces. Wealth is part of this too, because every time you stop pouring your life force into confusion, you recover energy, time, creativity, discipline, and vision. That recovery becomes favor. That favor becomes movement. That movement can become abundance, which is why your peace is not only romantic protection, it is financial protection. It is spiritual protection. It is future protection. It guards your focus, your calling, your sleep, your decisions, your confidence, and the hidden opportunities that can only reach a soul no longer chained to emotional chaos. So if you are serious about guarding what comes next, press like on this video as a quiet act of agreement. Subscribe to this channel if you are ready to keep your spirit covered, your discernment sharpened, and your next season surrounded by messages that strengthen your faith instead of feeding your fear. And share this video with one person who is standing at the edge of release, because blessing multiplies when truth is carried beyond yourself. Pisces, do not underestimate what a single act of faith can do when it is done with sincerity. A comment can become a vow, a like can become an agreement, a subscription can become a commitment to stay awake. A share can become someone else's answer in the exact hour they were about to lose hope. So breathe again, center yourself again, and remember this. You are not begging heaven for leftovers. You are aligning with what was always meant to reach you when your soul was ready to receive it with peace, wisdom, and courage at last. Pisces, as this message comes to its final breath, I want you to notice something quietly beautiful. You are not leaving this video as the same person who entered it. Something has shifted, even if only by a fraction, even if only in a place too deep for words. That is how true change often begins. Not with thunder, but with recognition. Not with dramatic signs, but with a sacred inner knowing that the season you have been walking through is not meaningless, and that the love you have been praying for is not delayed because you were forgotten, but because your soul has been learning how to receive, without fear, how to trust without collapsing, and how to stay open without surrendering your peace. Pisces, maybe the real reason this message found you was never just to tell you that someone is coming. Maybe it was to remind you that heaven has been protecting you in ways you did not understand, and that every closed door, every painful ending, every silence that once felt unbearable may have been mercy wearing unfamiliar clothing. In the Christian heart, this is the comfort of knowing that God sees beyond your tears and never wastes a season of waiting. In the Buddhist heart, this is the peace of understanding that release is not loss, when it frees you from suffering illusion and attachment to what was never truly yours. And that is why you must not look backward now with bitterness. Do not call yourself foolish for loving deeply. Do not shame your heart for hoping too much. You were not weak. You were learning. You were becoming. You were being refined into someone who can finally tell the difference between a connection that flatters the ego and a connection that nourishes the soul. Pisces, the love that belongs in your life will not make you beg for clarity, chase for reassurance, or betray your own spirit just to keep it alive. What is sent in truth will carry peace in its footsteps. It will not be perfect, because no human love is, but it will be honest, grounded, and capable of honoring the sacred tenderness within you. That is why your waiting was not wasted. It was building discernment. It was teaching your heart to recognize what is healthy, what is holy, and what can actually remain. So if you feel emotion rising in you right now, let it rise. Let it become gratitude instead of fear. Let it become expectation without desperation. Let it become faith anchored in peace. And if this message has spoken directly to your season, comment. Now, I welcome what protects my peace, because every declaration made in sincerity becomes a lamp for the road ahead. Like this video as your sign that you are no longer available for confusion, disguised as destiny. Subscribe if you are ready to keep your future guarded, your spirit strengthened, and your path aligned with messages that call you higher. Share this with the one who needs to remember that delayed love is not denied love, and that sometimes the greatest blessing is not who left, but who never reached you because heaven said no. Pisces, your peace is precious. Your future is valuable. Your energy is fertile ground, and whatever enters your life next must be worthy of what it touches. Guard that truth. Live from that truth. Build from that truth. Because when your spirit is no longer leaking energy into pain, it becomes available for healing, for purpose, for creativity, for provision, for wise decisions, and yes, for the kind of abundance that grows where peace is protected. So as we close, remember this. With all your heart, you did not lose by waiting. You did not fall behind by healing, and you are not too late for what is meant to meet you in the right season. The story is still moving. Grace is still working. And somewhere beyond your fear, beyond your old patterns, beyond the ache of what did not stay, a quieter and truer love is drawing near, not to complete you, but to meet the healed, awakened, and faithful soul you have become.